Hello, friends.
Hey.
You might have noticed, you're not supposed to draw attention to things like this, but you may have noticed that I'm growing my hair out again on the sides. So it might go through a few awkward stages as I grow it back. I have little owl wings on the side.
Where? Oh, I see them now. I never noticed that.
But we are here to talk with you today about one of the most basic and essential wilderness skills, and yet it is one that is overlooked often by people who have been out in the woods a lot in their lives. This is the simple art of looking up.
Around. I would say
Around.
around because if you just look up, you're not going to notice what's over there unless you have really good peripheral vision, and also you might trip on a root or something.
That's a really good distinction, because when I say look up, some people might think, I mean look up. But what we're saying here is, instead of looking down, to bring our gaze upward and to see around us, as you said. When forest monks come to Rewilding University, this is one of the first skills we'll work on. We will walk on the paths. And on the paths, there are roots and there are rocks. And typically people are going to walk just staring at the ground. They're worried about tripping because, well, let's face it, most of us, we grow up and live our lives walking always on flat surfaces. In a house, on a sidewalk, on a street, there's no terrain. Suddenly, there's terrain. We're scared. We stare at the ground. And, well, what does that result in? I mean,
You don't notice anything.
You don't notice
So
anything.
what's the point of going on a walk?
Yeah, that might sound harsh, but that people don't see much is very, very true. In fact, we'll play hide games where we can sit literally right next to a path in plain sight.
I know.
And
so
people
so
will walk by.
I know.
You can try this at your local park. People walk by, and a significant percentage of them will not see you, even though you are in plain sight, just out of their main focal, off on the peripheral. Of course, it's made worse if they're staring at a cell phone or smartphone and just...
Then you're really going to trip.
Then you're really going to trip.
Warning, do not stare at cell phone when walking on terrain, like good terrain with rocks, or else smash.
When we look up, we become cognizant, aware of our environment. This means we start seeing those people hiding from us just off the trail. It means we start seeing animals in the forest. It means we see birds, we see those mushrooms over there that are edible, we see the plants over there that we might be using for medicine or food. We are aware. And you talked about peripheral vision. You want to say something more about that?
Well, if you're kind of incensed, you can look up without having to move your head all around, because you can see basic colors and kind of basic shapes in your peripheral vision. So you can keep watch for things like animals and all sorts of different things like that.
And our peripheral is very tuned in to movement.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, more
Very,
so
very,
than
very.
our focused vision. So if we're walking down a path and we
There's someone hiding there, and they
just move a little
move a
bit,
bit to stifle a
sneeze,
giggle because they
Giggle.
we don't see them. It's gonna catch it up, and we're gonna turn around and like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's someone there.
Yes. So, bringing in the power of that peripheral. In fact, our peripheral vision can become so powerful that eventually we can learn to be running, not looking at the ground, and our peripheral vision will be picking up the terrain underneath of us. When people suddenly capture this, it's probably happened to you. You're playing...
Looking up as in looking straight ahead.
Looking straight ahead, yeah.
But if you look up,
Peripheral won't catch it.
nope,
No.
sorry.
But when we're playing often games like Capture the Flag, people will be running through the woods full speed. I mean, that's the time they're going to trip and fall. And yet in those moments when they're fleeing somebody, all their instincts kick in. They automatically go into that basically probably ancestral peripheral vision that we're all capable of. And people will run through crazy terrain and stay on their feet. It's often amazing to see what people will navigate. But then the next day, when they're not in that state of mind, they might have trouble just walking through the forest without staring down at the ground. It shows us that there is so much inside of us, so many skills and abilities and potentialities that are buried underneath things like our fear.
But also, I want to say the ground is really cool too. So sometimes you should go out and just lay down and stare at the ground for a bit and notice different things about it. Remember, the ground is a nice place to lay and look around.
You guys, look at the red buds up there.
Our feet are alive and can feel the ground so that we don't always have to look at it. Okay? Ideally, eventually our vision is going to start to move around us. So you're going to look at the ground, you're going to look up, you're going to look over. But the key is we're always doing it when we're in peripheral. I can train myself so well that even when crack something over there, and I look, I don't narrow in. I look over, but I still can see the camera. I'm still in my peripheral, up and down. If we can train ourselves into that level of peripheral vision, awesome. And this is one of the best exercises, is just to go for a walk and try to look on this plane and upward. Try not to look at the ground. You're probably going to catch yourself over and over staring down at the ground. Bring your gaze up again and again.
I want to try this.
All right, my friends, share in the comments if you can keep your vision up when you go for a walk, or if you find yourself staring at the ground, if you've trained yourself out of staring at the ground into an upwards peripheral vision. Share what that did, how the world transformed.
What you saw, some of the really cool things you saw in your peripheral.
Yeah. All right. Love to you all. Talk with you soon.